right. I am now joined by our favorite Spaniard, Nando Vila, by Wosney, Big Woz Lambre, and by Mike Recine, who really fucked us up for a while because he had to like father a child for some reason.
I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. Well, as long as you apologized, you're going to try to do better. So we took a little while.
It was a
off.
huge mistake.
I mean, how can you bring a child into this world, with like
when we
climate change and all that stuff,
That's right. You ever even thought about that?
You never even think about anyone but yourself?
Yeah, I just added a year to the length of this podcast. We have to do the whole
stuff. Fair enough. No, Mazel Tov, Mike, but we are back. And I know, people complain. It's like, guys, at this rate, it's going to take like 20 years to get through the Sopranos. But I hope it takes 20 years. I hope it takes 30 years. I like talking about the Sopranos. I want to do it every month.
Yeah.
So at our snail's pace, we are at season 1, episode 6, Pax Soprana. So at the beginning of the episode, Mikey Palmisi beats up the leader of a card game, which has been protected by Jimmy Altieri. Mikey says Junior Soprano is the new boss, and he ain't respecting old arrangements. Meanwhile, Junior is being fitted for a new suit. He is told that his tailor's 14-year-old grandson committed suicide after taking drugs sold to him by Rusty Irish. By the way, I love that, Rusty Irish. Okay, Rusty is Larry Boy Barisi's top earner, but Junior has him killed.
Yeah. He has like a great line when Junior's like getting, because he's the boss now and they're doing like some big dinner in his honor or whatever. So he's getting a fresh bespoke suit made for him by like a 200-year-old tailor. And he like makes some comment about like how, the mobsters these days, like, they want to be buried in their coffins with the Adidas tracksuit. Like Italian mob guys went from like wearing, comically large, neck collars and suit and tie to jogging suits.
Just fila. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That transition was very dramatic and very quick.
I did wear one to the hospital when my son was born. Yeah. I was wearing a tracksuit while my wife was giving birth.
Yeah. It's so comfortable and multi-usage.
And you don't have to think about my outfit. You just take a thing off the rack, and that's what you wear for the day. It's perfect.
It's perfect, and I think that so much of the show is about that changing of the guard, right? Like when Tony's talking about, I'm at this thing at the very end, the glory days are gone. It's the same conversation Junior's having. It's like, this shit used to be like glamorous. It used to be amazing. And now it's a bunch of schlubs in tracksuits.
It's about decay. I mean, it's about a decay. And, like it's funny to make fun of those people. I mean, we were kind of doing that before the show, movies were just better back then. Because like our society is decaying in almost every single way. Our culture is degrading itself, both, in everything. Like the quality of everything is just worse now. And The Sopranos is kind of about that. It's about the end of, the high point of America was somewhere in the early 1970s, and since then it's just been steady.
Yeah, well, I mean, they say that explicitly in the first episode. Tony is at that first session with Dr. Melfi. He says it's good to get in on the ground floor at the beginning of something, but I feel like I've come in at the very end.
It's true.
I think lots of Americans feel that way.
Yeah. And like if they only knew what it would be like 20 years later, just like it's way more end than
oh my god, then. Can you imagine like the like everybody's like sitting around like the back room at the pork store, and they're and like one of them is reading the newspaper or like looking at the news on their phone or whatever, and they're doing, it's like, oh, you hear this person was they were voicing somebody of a different race, and there was a thing about it, except for being the Sopranos, they'd have to like fuck up the story somehow, they wouldn't quite get it right.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Like,
does that mean in 20 years, like kids, like TikTok kids, will be complaining that TikTok used to be good and now it's not?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
This used to be a respectable way to make content and get sponsorships.
I mean, because like 20 years from now, there'll be like some new thing, and instead of like us doing content for free or whatever, or for the patrons or whatever, like they'll just be like TikTok slaves. Like
no bathroom break, TikTokers.
Yeah. Like they'll be just like, for Jeff Bezos' personal amusement, he'll have his own like harem of TikTokers, just creating an endless loop of TikTok so he can access them whenever he wants.
Yeah, your TikTok will be under the umbrella of a bigger TikTok, so we'll all work for one of the 4 big TikTok accounts.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm laughing, but at the same time, I am that person who's like, "What happened to this place, Twitter? We used to be able to make dick jokes in peace."
For sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Where do we have fun anymore? It used to be fun. It used to be.
Yeah. In the green room, like before any podcast starts recording, those 3 minutes. That's where all the greatest you people are missing out.
Or maybe we're living in the glory days of Twitter right now, and it's about to get so much worse.
I can't even imagine.
I can't imagine it getting that much worse.
I can't imagine it getting worse. It'll be like a black hole. It would like consume itself if it gets any worse.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So as the episode goes on, so Junior is visiting Livia in the retirement community, and there's some very funny stuff where like somebody passes by. It's like, oh, are you a new resident? Keep walking.
It's like way too aggressive. So good.
Could just be like, oh, no, dude, sorry.
Yeah, like it's just like some 500-year-old lady on a walker. Like she's just trying to be nice.
Yeah,
but she's reminding Junior of his impending death.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or also he's just the boss now. Like he's just like, you don't fuck with him. You don't look him in the eye. He's the big boss now.
Well, it's at the same time he's the boss, but also
he's insecure about it.
Yeah, he's insecure about it. I mean, like he can imagine himself being put in a place like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Junior is bragging to Livia about being the boss, or she's telling him that it's great that he waited so long, but she decides to make a little trouble, and she points out that Hesh doesn't pay any tax, and Tony indulges him too much, and he thinks that everything that he says is we're pearls of wisdom.
Whoever heard of a Jew who rides horses? That's like her first problem with Hesh is like, what the fuck is this Jew doing riding horses? Yeah, I can't trust him.
So Hesh goes to Tony to say that Junior is taxing him. And this is basically the first major test of the arrangement that they figured out before, whereby Tony would continue to run things, but Junior would wear the crown, and so if the FBI came down, it would come down on Junior, and they thought that this was going to be easy because Junior really just wanted the prestige of it, but of course, both of the things that have happened at the beginning of the episode are Junior trying to actually exercise power and disrupt old arrangements, which nobody wants, and that's making them question their decisions. So as you know, I think they've already found out about Jimmy Altieri's card game, which by the way we should mention, like that scene where that was broken up. When Mike is coming in to break it up. I mean, it's kind of funny the way he puts it, because it's like, oh, have are you paying Junior for this? And it's like, are you paying anybody? Like, obviously, this is like a grave point of principle that you could just have like a card game where money was exchanged in hands and you weren't paid off a gangster for it.
Yeah, you watch it because when you watch it as a younger person, you're like, oh, this is what they do in the mafia. They beat people up. But now that I'm a little older, I'm like, oh, he didn't have to do all that. That wasn't necessary to punch that old man for his card game.
And
and like they all agree that the card game doesn't even make any money, period. Like it's just a bunch of friends getting together pretty much.
But they're trying to show you just how petty the whole enterprise is, right? It's like, yo, this guy is supposed to be some boss and his underling is quibbling over, whatever the percentage is of what they gambled that night, right? Like it couldn't possibly be that much money, but it's it's a way to power trip it. And to get back to Tony's mom, which is just hilarious, how much David Chase hates his own mother, is that really she's just mad that Tony confides in somebody who isn't her, right? So it's like I don't like the idea that he clearly respects this guy, looks up to this guy, is kind of a fatherly figure to Tony. Like, obviously, he's like his OG. And she's like, fuck that. Let's blow that up. We know just the right person to do it, because Junior will resent Hesh for the exact same reason, right? So she's so diabolical and always dialed in, man.
Absolutely. So when she's Livia is manipulating Junior to tax Hesh. So Hesh goes to Tony, and this is a big problem because if this like legal fiction that the Junior is the boss is really respected, there's really nothing that Tony can do. Like if Junior wants to tax Hesh, he can do that, and Tony is not supposed to step out of line and question his decisions. So he goes to Johnny Sack and reveals.
Who follows me on Twitter, by the way.
He blocked me on Twitter.
Why'd he block you?
Because I tweeted something. I was like, because he's a big, right winger, and he's on the Kumi Network a lot. Yeah, so I tweeted, I was like, the guy who Johnny Sack is a better person than the guy who plays him, just like a little innocuous. And then all these Compound Media fans started like snitching on me. They were like, wow, telling on me, that I said that. And then I got into a fight with this one guy. We had this back and forth. I was like, yeah, way to be a snitch. And he was like, oh, yeah, you're talking shit about a guy that I like. Yeah, I think I'm going to let him know. And then Vincent Curatola, the actor, was tagged in our exchange. And then at one point he just goes, please take me out of your conversation. So he was like, he ended up being pissed at that guy too.
Yeah, his Twitter feed is great. It's all like, like AOC is just like a crazy slut. And, like, can you believe Nancy Pelosi wants to, like cut off all our balls? Like, wow. It's fucked up.
What's funny is that happens a lot in my line of work, Mike, where you'll say something about an athlete, his performance or whatever, and then somebody will tag that, like, can you believe this asshole saying this about you? And we have a term for that. We call that jock snitching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
what is that kind of guy? Who is that guy who's like sees the tweet, or sees like Waz's take and is like, what I'm gonna tell Kevin Durant.
They're like,
who is that guy?
Yeah,
I can't relate.
And then Johnny Sack's like, thanks for letting me know. You want to come to my barbecue this weekend?
Right.
Exactly. Like he's gonna.
Yeah. I mean that really is the.
It's nice to have a friend on this website. Thanks for letting me know that someone said I was a bad person.
No,
yeah,
exactly.
He did have some wild tweets though. Like His Twitter is
great.
like, oh, you don't care if you don't work again, or you don't think you're going to work again, I guess. Because he would say like, Rosie O'Donnell's an animal, stuff like that.
I think he I may be wrong about this, but I think he runs like some sort of acting school in New Jersey or whatever. Which I can only imagine is just like,
and
just
they specialize in like mob roles or something.
Yeah,
with an emphasis on it.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It's like wow. So like the way you smack a guy, like you can't do it like you can't look like a boxer guy. Like you got to do like a whole.
All right, lesson 3: eating spaghetti on camera. Exactly. That'll be $1,200, please. Thank you very much. Eating rigatoni for the camera.
So they're like, they're like Jewish kids from suburban Connecticut, who are learning how to play Italians in the acting school.
So that's how you say the gabagool. You say it like this. You say gabagool, and it's just like a whole lesson on how to pronounce it properly.
Dad, I have talent. I got into Vincent Curritola's acting school. I could be somebody.
Like honestly, like that would be great content for any free idea for anyone. Like sign up for Vincent Curritola's school, like, and then just take the class.
Oh my God. They're probably doing it over Zoom right now. Yeah.
It's probably not even taught by him. He probably hires.
Shows up the first day. Yeah.
He's like Krusty, Young Krusty. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but that is awesome. I mean, I'm just imagining like the the like Twitter snitches as like that's a way of being like in the
like, did you learn nothing from Sopranos? You're being a rat now. You're ratting.
Exactly. Or like a sort of like weird equivalent of the guys who like later on like who work for like Christopher's brokerage, who are like trying to get Tony to notice them.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm looking up his YouTube right now. It says that he's also a singer, not YouTube, excuse me, Wikipedia. He's also a singer and has appeared on stage several times with the rock band Chicago.
Hell yeah.
Chicago plays a song. He's like, all right, we got to talk about something though. I know we're having a lot of fun tonight, but Nancy Pelosi wants to cut your penis off, folks.
It says in 2009, Curatola was named to the Gaming, Sports, and Entertainment Subcommittee transition team of then Governor-elect Chris Christie of New Jersey.
Oh my God! Yes. Like,
awesome.
Well, like overseeing like gambling in Atlantic City.
Yes, basically.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, so it goes to see Johnny Sack. So he reveals the whole arrangement about how Junior's not the real boss to Johnny Sack. They have this whole conversation about how to handle it and how Johnny can pretend that Hesh went to him, and then you find out that this conversation is all happening while Tony is at the restaurant with Carmela for their anniversary. He's like cut out to talk business with Johnny.
It's what women love. Women love that, That's the best thing to do on your anniversary is to have a meeting with the boss of New York. Yeah.
No, I mean, I know Jennifer loves it. If we're out, like, I'm like, oh fuck, can I talk to Bhaskar for like half an hour about some Jackman stuff?
Yeah. He's actually at the bar.
We're out for our anniversary, and my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm getting blocked by Vincent Curritola. Sorry."
This is important for my career. Who do you think pays for this anniversary dinner? Huh? This is
and
like
it's
what
funny
I do.
because
I'm trying to start beef.
So obvious. These dudes don't do anything all day, right? It's not like they're busy all day doing anything. I don't know why you had to squeeze in your anniversary date to talk to this dude. You could drive to New York or whatever instead of being at the Bing and eating sandwiches all day. Like, it's so funny that they would pretend that this dude was so busy he had to double book.
This is something that Sopranos does really well. Is like the hierarchy is very clear. Like 90% of like the mob work is done by like faceless grunts who they would kill, and like who like they ordered a hit on like without even thinking twice about it, like, and then the rest of them, like once you get to a certain level, you basically just sit around all day.
And that's the whole thing. Like Larry Burgis is upset that Rusty Irish gets killed because he's his best earner. Because that like, yeah, Larry probably couldn't make money on the street, or he's not anymore. They depend on other people to make their money for them.
Yeah, he's like, during the NBA playoffs, like this guy's fucking running 10 different numbers games or whatever the fuck, like, yeah, all the work is done by the grunts and yeah, basically what they need is a union.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. So in the actual conversation, the summary I was looking at was a little bit too brief, opposite problem from usual. But in the actual conversation, Tony goes back and sits with Carmela, and she is extremely unhappy. Not just about this particular thing, but in general, as the episode goes on, you realize that it's because he's suffering from diminished libido, supposedly because of his psychiatric medication. Although there's some dispute about whether that's really the cause. But in the and you also see around this point of the episode, you see Tony is with his Russian whore.
That's so good. It's such a good scene. It's so good. Fucking, she like jumps on the bed with him, and the first thing he says like, "Watch the balls! Watch the balls!" Like it's like implied that like whenever she jumps on top of him, she crushes his balls by accident.
Wait, is this the scene where he gets mad that she doesn't want to have a conversation, or
yeah.
that he's
she tries to blow him. It's like, so how was work today?
Right, because he's having the delusions about what his relationship with Melfi should be.
Right.
Because it's so crazy, because she is like none of the other women in his life, right? Like completely independent, and she cares about this psychoanalyzation. She's like, he sees her as smart and above everybody else. Like he's made her into a fantasy. So it's like, whatever, Carmela, like I've been dealing with you for so long. Like obviously I take you for granted. And then my Gumar, who is here for the express purpose of being the person who I only have sex with, doing that is no longer good enough because he's been so clouded by his thirst for Melfi.
Yeah,
calls her a communist cunt, which is really funny.
That's hilarious on like 20,000 levels.
Yeah. He's like, you won't fucking blow me? You're like, you want to just blow me? You don't even want to talk to me about your day, you communist cunt.
Gotta hate the communist cunts, like who just want to have sex. They don't want to talk.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like what you're describing is like what happens with like a lot of powerful dudes, which is like a difference between their wants and like what they think they want and what they like actually want on some deep level. And like they always think they want like someone subservient to them who just like do whatever they say, like a yes man or a yes woman or whatever, but they don't actually want that. They actually want someone to like push back and challenge them in a way that they respect.
Right.
And that's what Melfi does, and that's why he's like obsessed with her. And he can never really respect his wife or his fucking side pieces.
Yeah. So when he's with Arita, he can't perform. Why did Cannoli don't want to stand up? Which I did not do a Russian accent at all. That was a sort of weird half Italian accent. But anyway, so. And then he tries to talk to her. It doesn't work. She gets pissed off. He says, for all the conversation that happens around here, I might as well be a dildo. And she says, well, no, if you were a dildo, we wouldn't be having this conversation, which is a pretty good line for.
It's a good comeback. Yeah, it's a good comeback.
Yeah, pretty good.
This is not a situation I can relate to at all. Never happened to me.
Yeah.
All right, as long as everybody's clear on that. So
yeah, no, we got it. Just for the record.
Exactly. Tony starts having erotic dreams about Dr. Melfi and believes that he is in love with her. In a session with her, Tony tries to kiss her. She says, "You're feeling that way because we've made such progress." So,
I'm always fascinated by Melfi's role in all of this because it's like she's clearly conflicted in so many ways. It's like morally, emotionally, she clearly feels weird about what she's doing because on the one hand, she likes being his doctor for all the reasons that, her family and everybody is killing her for. Like, it's true. Like, she does like that Tony's dangerous and has nothing in common with the people that she spends every single day with and all of that stuff. But at the same time, she knows that's why this guy is sick. He's a sick individual. So it's like the same things that she's drawn to are what repel her. So, but she is, though, if we're being honest, playing that little cat and mouse role with Tony. She absolutely is playing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
it's the inverse of the Tony dynamic I was just talking about, like that she thinks she wants like some sensitive, feminist, woke fucking guy.
No,
but she actually just wants like a fucking, on some level she desires that.
Yeah, totally. So meanwhile, with Junior, so there's the situation with Hesh, where they end up having the sit down. That's the most like ridiculously condescending sit down ever. It's a they do this little play acting where Johnny Sack says that Hesh contacted him, he's a friend of ours and not just a friend of yours, and then Tony pretends to get indignant on Junior's behalf. Is like, who are you to come down here and tell my uncle how to run his family? And Johnny Sack is like treating Junior like it's like 99-year-old grandma with dementia. It's like, oh, you think I would ever tell this guy to how to run his family? I would die.
Yeah, no, yeah, perfectly orchestrated. I mean, that's where that's just good comedy writing right there. Like the what's being said is different from what is actually being said. And that's just an incredible scene. It's so fucking funny.
So, meanwhile, though, there's a larger thing because all of the capos are resentful because Junior is keeping too much money for himself. And although there is also a funny thing with the card game at the beginning where I don't remember who's bringing it, bringing it up and ranting to Tony about it. But it gets to the thing about the card game. Tony's like, well, even a broken clock. I mean, they were playing cards without paying off a gangster for the privilege. I mean, you can't do that.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, it's funny. Like the capos are like ultimate middle management, like at first Tony's like, well, what the fuck? This is what we wanted. Like, what do you mean? And they're like, just fucking figure it out. Do something. We're not happy. Like, just figure it out. Like, I don't know. That's why you're the boss. Like they don't want any of the responsibility themselves.
Yeah. Let's see. So there's this, and there's a very typical Sopranos thing where in the resolution of that, Tony, Hesh tells Tony about Augustus, Or no, actually, hold on. Is that where Tony gets the thing about Augustus? Hesh tells Tony about Harry Truman. I remember that, but
but that's later.
The Augustus thing is just his own, you know.
Okay, all right. So that's just Tony just got that from watching the History Channel or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so he's basically
like. What do you say? Right.
He's like slightly smarter than Junior because he does the Augustus analogy and it kind of falls flat, and then he says the thing about the cows.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I see what you mean.
And Junior's like he's like, well, didn't they stab that guy in the back? He's like, no, that was Julius. He's talking about Augustus.
Yeah. So Augustus was a successful emperor because he shared his wealth with his capos or something, and
basically, yep.
Yeah.
And then Junior was like, well, why didn't you just say that?
Why didn't you open with the cow thing? I don't understand.
And so I was like, I don't know.
I thought it sounded good. I don't know.
Oh man, it's great.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just say that? It's just perfect.
Yeah. Exactly, because he takes him through the whole Augustus thing, and then he does the thing about the bulls, walking or running, down the hill. Everybody's heard this 100 times. Let's walk down and fuck them all, and then Junior gets it, and then he's like a little irritated that Tony didn't just like come out with the point, but
because it's sort of a baby metaphor on just art, just generally, right, or poetry or whatever. It's just like, you could just say the thing, right? Like we don't gotta be all fucking foofy about it.
Yeah.
But the Augustus thing is a pretty good analogy. It just doesn't connect with Junior, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, but it's also it's just like okay, he was a leader and he shared the wealth a little bit. It's not like rocket science, Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually a little unclear about the Augustus analogy, but who is it that Augustus is supposed to share the wealth with?
I guess he was just a more a more democratic sort of equitable leader and didn't just hoard, because Junior's like hoarding stuff and he's making everybody pay him and taxing everybody, and it's all but it's all ending up in his pocket. All the money's ending up in his pocket. He's not being an equitable leader.
Fair enough. So that's been, by the end of the episode, that's been resolved. They have, and the Carmela, so Tony has, confessed his feelings, or what he thinks his feelings are, to Melfi, we actually skipped right over the fact that this is the episode where he has her car stolen to fix it.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is awesome.
It's great. Yeah. Not realizing that would just totally freak someone out, just to have a guy following her around and then and then steal your car to fix it. There's the incredibly creepy scene between Carmela and Father Phil, the priest, which I was like, man, this guy is fucking so shameless. Just basically saying Carmela's like, oh, Tony, we're not having sex because, whatever. And I'm really jealous of the new psychiatrist, and I didn't care about the Gumars, because whatever. It's just like him getting his dick wet every once in a while. And I don't have time to be banging him all the time with the kids in the house.
He's a real one.
Yeah. The father's like, listen, you just admitted that you have not been doing your wifely duties. As a good Catholic, you need to get on your knees and suck that dick every single day.
Man,
I mean, that's what
amazing.
God says, man. He's just totally blaming her for fucking.
The whiplash is also
maybe if you wouldn't be such a fucking prude, maybe let her put it in the butt every once in a while, whatever. Maybe he wouldn't be fucking.
Yeah, it's also amazing whiplash because we just watched before we went on break College, where Father Phil is wakes up in the morning, with this hangover, and he's like a little unsure if he hooked up with Carmela the night before, because that was definitely like in the cards as a possibility. Yeah. But now he's like turning around and he can do the fundamentalist, like, what? My God, Carmela, what do you mean you might leave him? The sanctity of marriage.
Yeah, it's just, what a great creepy fucking character, just a fucking total hypocrite. Sleazeball. No good people in the Sopranos except for maybe like Adriana. Like everyone else is just awful, just horrible human beings.
Yeah, it's kind of jarring when like a decent person shows up, because one does every once in a while. I mean, the one that comes to mind is Carmela's therapist from, a couple seasons later, an older guy that won't take her money.
Yeah,
but that's kind of the only one that comes to mind.
Yeah, which is such a good like scene, because it's like, it's like, oh yeah, what do you expect? He's evil. I mean, if you don't want to participate in evil, you just got to leave him. Like, there's no, and then like she just doesn't know what to do with that, because like nobody ever actually is that blunt with her.
Was that blunt with her?
Ever.
Yeah.
Or there's the guy. There's the flag saluting motherfucker who that's, as they refer to him, who is
Cusimano.
Like, no, not Cusimano. The guy who there's like some random one-off character who like sees something and almost snitches, but then like he he reads the newspaper. His wife is reading the newspaper, and they realize that it's a mafia thing, and he stops. But it's kind of funny that like they the way that's portrayed is like, obviously, I mean, fuck that guy, right? But it's because he saw a crime and he was going to report it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's so Carmela, after Father Phil has told her, reminded her of her wifely duties and everything, she has and Tony has realized that he does not in fact have a shot with Melfi. They reconcile. There's this very sweet scene, out by the pool, where she says she wants to be in his life, and with no shame whatsoever, he says, "Calm, you are my life."
Yeah, my entire thing, the entire thing,
which is so obvious watching the show, right? That she's his entire life, that
obvious. Yeah. That is like a nice moment if it was coming from another character, but because you remember that he just told Melfi he was like in love with her.
And he kisses her, and he gets up and fucking and kisses her, and she like totally keeps her cool. She's like, I think we should. This is a major breakthrough. I think we should discuss this, like an emergency session this afternoon or whatever.
But that's
totally like professional.
But that's one of the things I really love about the show. Like people fuck each other over and they lie about it, and there's never these big realizations or anything. It's just people just do this awful shit to each other, and it never kind of comes up again. And that I mean I kind of think that's a little more like authentic, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony's just like, yo, this psychiatrist lady's hot. She makes me think and feel stuff.
Yeah,
I'd like to bang her. That's it.
Yeah,
it's the beginning and the end. Fuck my family, all of that shit.
Yeah. Like, you think your wife has never lied to you? I'm sure there's tons of times. I don't even want to think about it. She probably lies. Saying stuff like the baby's yours. It's better to just not think about it.
I love you. All lies.
I love you.
Yeah. You totally look 5'10", but
you pass for 5'10".
I mean, what it understands is that like what you're talking about, Mike, is that like everyone is just like a ball of like narcissism, especially these days in America, and like every once in a while those like balls will like crash into each other and have effects on each other, but like you never kind of think about the other person's ball. You just think of your own ball and how like that, and you're like stuck in one of those like rolly floating things, and that's how you exist in the world.
Yeah, that is definitely the Sopranos vision of it, and I'm glad I didn't succeed in interrupting that, because that was good, because all I was going to do was bring up that thing about the the person who paid for the skywriting about Joe Rogan being 5'3". You see that?
Yes. Yes, I did see that in LA. Someone paid a plane. How much does that cost? How much? I've always wondered how much those things cost.
And also, what is your problem? What is your problem with Joe Rogan? Leave him alone.
Well, they just hate him because he's short.
Yeah, right. Of course.
All of that to chemtrail us to death. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
I don't understand.
Yeah. All right. So, Tony and Carmela have had this resolution. Junior and Tony have worked things out, or Tony on behalf of the Capos, has and on behalf of Hesh has worked things out. Hesh guilts him into giving back his share since the arrangement was that the lowered tax that is going to be on Hesh, the back taxes that Junior is going to split it among the Capos. So Tony gives back his share. And then at the end, there's this big dinner where there are. Actually, I wondered about this a little bit because it seemed like they were being pretty open about the mafia stuff at the dinner. About Junior, the boss of the family, all this stuff. Even though there were these caterers there, and we demonstrated why that's not a good idea. Because one of the caterers had a camera in his lapel, and so there is this like fantastic kind of Scorsese-esque episode ending where you have the music's going, and they have this like banquet they're doing, and in Junior's honor, very like kind of along the lines of the Roman analogies of beginning and all that stuff. It has that feel to it, and as all this is happening, you keep hearing the clicks of the camera, and you see the photos being rearranged on the bulletin board in the FBI office.
Yeah, and it's perfect because it's exactly why Tony didn't want to be the actual boss in the first place. One is the heat, and two, when you're not getting pinched, you're dying of cancer, like his best friend Jackie, right? Like the job is so stressful. And, the consequences are so dire. Tony's like, I don't want this shit. But then he wants all the perks because he's Tony. Yeah.
Well, that he tells Hesh that in their meeting at Hesh's horse farm, which is just like an all around incredible scene. Like, like Tony does this thing where like he's obsessed with, like, when he looks at animals, he's like, man, I love, like, I'm like attracted to their idea of freedom and simplicity or whatever. He's like, man, I wish I could just be like a horse, and all I had to do is just run around and like fuck other horses. And Hesh is like, Hesh, who owns a fucking horse ranch and lives on a fucking horse ranch, is like, I hate the fucking smell of these fucking animals, but I do like to watch them run every once in a while. It's just like, these people are just so fucking shitty. Because Tony's like, well, I could be one of them, like no bills, nothing to worry about. And Hesh is like, I don't know. It seems kind of boring,
Not all it's cracked up to be.
No, it's cracked up to be. And then they do like a cultural appropriation line where Hesh is like, you forget I wrote 6 gold records. I don't need none of this shit, like. Yeah. Tony's like, woke Tony's like, 6 black kids wrote those records, and you just credit.
Woke Tony.
Yeah, you gave yourself a co-writing credit.
Yeah, that whole interaction is just fucking hilarious.
Yeah, so the title of the episode, Pax Soprano, is a reference, it's because of the Augustus analogy, I guess, to Pax Romana, the Roman peace, the idea that, because they had this vast empire and they regulated it so well and everything that they're, that they were like doing a service to the world, keeping peace, although which is a little ridiculous if you like think about it for 5 minutes, because I was talking about this the other day with Jeff Barwa and Ben Yudashin, that like how like weird it is, like the way that like fascists always point to ancient Rome as this example of this like model well-ordered society. It's like, I don't know. I mean, it seems like they were having like civil wars over leadership struggles like every 5 years. I don't know if this is quite the model of like stability and order that you think it is.
Yeah. And like genociding the barbarians in Gaul.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like it's very good for the average person.
Right.
The average, yeah.
But all right, final thoughts.
I watched this episode like a month ago. But you know, it's so crazy just talking to you guys because it all happens on a, like, for me the show is just one thing. It's hard for me to break them down into individual episodes. But you know, these guys, like the sort of driving forces, the motivations of the characters stay so consistent throughout the series, you know. So it's not impossible to be like, yo, yeah, this is exactly what I would envision Junior doing, even if I don't remember the episode, because this is what he does. This is what he's going to fucking do the entire series. He's not gonna learn. He's not gonna get better. He's not gonna have some breakthrough moment. He's just gonna fucking be Junior for the whole series, and you can carry that through with every character.
I guess two things for me. I guess it was kind of cool to see where Tony and Hesh are walking up the street in Newark, and there's those houses, those row houses, and they're like right on the sidewalk. And you think you're looking at those houses, and you think like, you know, who would want to live there? And then there's a sign for the PATH train that they walk by, and I don't know, it just kind of takes me back to, you know, North Jersey really does have like its own nice little identity that I really appreciate and remember from my couple years living there. It's worth the trip if you want to take a trip out there. I don't know. Maybe I should set up some kind of like tour or whatever, or just visiting points for people, because I started doing stand-up comedy out there, and I went to college out there, and I was working for a like a home improvement company where I was helping salesmen rip people off. So I'll always think about that area very fondly. And then the other thing is, we didn't really get to this, but the relationship between Tony and Vin Makazian is very fun. The gangster who kind of has his shit together, and the scumbag cop who's in trouble, and I just think that's a very fun dynamic.
Oh, yeah. Just the contempt that's always rolling off Tony every time he deals with him.
Yeah.
He gives him money, and he's like, buy yourself an iron, because his suit's all fucking rumpled. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the dad from Home Alone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great dynamic. That scene that you're talking about, Hesh and Tony walking, I always find it funny because it's like, Hesh drives up to Tony or whatever, like, and he's like, and Tony's like, hey, what's up, man? And he's like, hey, I need to talk to you. And he's like, okay, great. He's like, let's walk. He's like, oh, it's that bad. Like, it's a walking meeting, like there's a hierarchy of meetings. There's a sit down, which is like the most important thing. And then maybe like a walk and talk is like maybe the next important thing. And then just like a, quick thing outside the thing is like the third. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm always just rewatching it slowly, this thing, like one episode a month, whilst I'm watching a million other things. I'm like just struck constantly by how much funnier this show is than anything. Like I watched Hacks, like the HBO show, and it's good. It's a good show. Like, don't get me wrong.
I like Hacks.
But it's not. No, I like Hack too. It's a good show. It's not.
No, it's definitely not Sopranos.
It's nowhere near as funny as this. That's more of like a ha comedy.
And Sopranos gives me guns,
about a comedian,
and sex. Yeah. And still manages to be funnier. I mean, like, they're giving me everything, and still manages to be funnier.
That is really true. I mean, it's hard to think of another TV show that like checks quite as many boxes as this.
Yeah, but even if it didn't check any of those boxes, and the only thing was the comedy, it'd still be like,
but like the
up there with funnier than anything.
The same thing could be said of The Wire. Like, that show is fucking hilarious, right? Like, the banter between the cops and all of that. Like, they're funny. I think Hacks is funny, but it's way too conscious about its comedy. But I feel like that's how you have to be now.
Yeah, The Wire, there are some amazing moments that are funny in some of the same ways The Sopranos is funny. Like the thing at the very beginning, like the first episode, where was it Jimmy the cop is interviewing people about like some like violent incident that happened because they were like
they were fucking up the names.
Well, and they had but like in the conversation they're like describing the like interaction that like the rest of the guys who play dice in the alley had with this other guy. They're like, oh well, every time there's money in the ground, he would steal it and he'd run away and we'd have to catch up with him and beat his ass. But it's like this how it's happened every time. I don't think he can help himself. And Jimmy's like, wait a second. You're saying he stole from you every single time, but you still let him play every time? Like you kept letting him play? And they're like, well, yeah, I mean it's America, man. You gotta.
But the Sopranos in its comedy is much less grandiose in a way than that. Like the scene where when Tony's like with Melfi in this episode and he's like talking with her and he's like my wife, she's jealous that you're a girl. And he's like, and he like catches himself. He's like, I'm sorry, a woman, a woman doctor, like a doctor, a woman doctor. He knows like he said something wrong, but he doesn't quite really know why it's wrong or what the correct thing is. So he's like, yeah, a girl, a woman. I mean, a doctor. Sorry, wait, no, a woman doctor, which is just like not a thing, like lines like that, there's like 12 in every episode, and they're just like funnier than anything. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm sure.
We used to do comedy in this country.
Well, we did. We fucking did. Outside of Mike Recine stand up, like nothing's funny.
Even that. Even that's going downhill.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This is good. We are back on track. We will this will happen again in July. I promise it. To reassure anybody who's been like just miserable for the last couple months, because they don't have this in their life,
just crying every day.
Yeah, I'd imagine there's a lot of that, and then they go to their therapist, but then like the therapist isn't enough like Dr. Melfi, and so that that isn't any good. And they could just watch The Sopranos, but they're too cheap for HBO Max, so they're waiting for us to describe The Sopranos the next month.
Right.
But
hey, what do you guys think of that Z-Way show? Do you have any opinions on that? I don't know what to make of it. Have you seen
What's
it?
Z-Way?
No, she's that girl who does like those interviews on Instagram. She got her own show.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure it's bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you saw it? Do you like it or no?
I saw a couple of clips and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if she's if this is supposed to be like satire or if it's I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
I did watch and enjoyed the Bo Burnham special. Was funny.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good, and it was impressive. Like it was just like impressive. It was impressively put together and done and produced.
I heard he was a YouTuber, and so I was like, yeah. Do I want to watch this?
I mean, no. It's
the old washed up snob in me was like, yeah, YouTuber. I don't know.
No, like he just is the guy who like got an iPhone and actually like figured out how to use all its capabilities to their fullest potential, shooting, recording, editing, music, like all that shit. Like he uses all the Apple products to their fullest potential. And yeah, the special is pretty, it felt like a, fresh thing. It didn't feel like just some fucking, retread hacky thing.
Nice.
Well, I will check that out. Meanwhile, we are going to be back next month. So let's see what's coming up. It's coming up next. So the next one is going to be Down Neck. Oh yes, okay, yeah, that's the one where AJ and his friends steal sacramental wine. So good stuff. Good stuff coming up. Everybody here who grew up Catholic can help give me some background to help understand that episode. So should be a good time. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Later, y'all.
Later.